Today I'm bringing you my first deck list on the channel. It's Etrata the Silencer. She's a super fun deck. She's a vampire assassin for 2 colorless and Demir for 3/5. Etrata the Silencer can't be blocked, and when Etrata deals damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exile cards with hit counters on them. Etrata's owner shuffles Etrata into their library. So it's this really fun deck that usually uses about assassins. When I saw this, I thought of a couple of things. 1, assassin tribal. 2, unblockable, which I love, and because it's Demir, plenty of interaction. I'll show you my deck. So we need to figure out, what does this deck do? Is it good? Is it bad? What are we looking at? First things first, we need to see if this pile of cards that we're working with, this deck, can even do stuff. What does it do? How does it win? And what are the first 5 turns looking like? I assume you guys would like to see me, how I run the deck. I know a lot of times when I see deck lists, people just throw you the deck, and it's fun to play around a couple games and learn your deck. But also, you might want to have some suggestions. I'll break it down for you guys, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so this deck, as I already kind of talked to you about, we have some assassins, we have some unblockable, but we also want to get this hit counter through, these abilities that make your opponent lose the game. Assassins aren't very strong. They're, flimsy creatures who have death touch or unblockable, fun little things, but they're more of a gimmicky part of this deck. We need to have more of a strong backbone. So, Etrata is amazing, but we also have Ramses Assassin Lord for a 2 and a Demir for 4/4 human assassin, legendary creature. He's got death touch. Other assassins you control get +1/+1, and whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you control, you win the game. So really what you want to do is, you want to get your Etrata out, you want to get Ramses out. Etrata swings, she gets those hit counters. You have a couple other sources in the deck that also get hit counters, and you win off her. If he's on the battlefield, you win the game. Very good combo. Now, as I was saying, we do have a couple sources for hit counters. They've only printed 3, and I don't believe that hit counters are very viable, nor consistent. Thankfully, we have the 3 drops, the 3 of them, I should say, and I have a couple sources to tutor them out. We really want to get that Ramses on the battlefield, and hopefully, with Ramses and Trotter, you kind of have this consistent way of putting counters on and winning. And Mary and Ravenloft are sort of more of a backup strategy to kind of help synergize with the deck. I'll read both cards for you. Mary the Killing Quill is 1 colorless and 2 black for a 3/2 vampire assassin. Whenever a creature your opponent controls dies, exile it with a hit counter on it. Assassins, mercenaries, and rogues you control have death touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a hit counter from a card that player owns in exile. If you do, draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens. So a good way of generating resources, and everything gets death touch, which also is nice with the 1/1s that you're getting from Ramses. You want to, make sure that you can kill creatures, so plenty of interaction to get that hit counter effect off, because all you need is 3 hit counters. And Ravenloft Adventurer is 3 colorless and a black for a 3, and, well, it's a 3. When Ravenloft Adventurer enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. If a creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and put a hit counter on it. Yet again, more of a death effect to put the hit counters. Whenever Ravenloft Adventurer attacks, if you've completed a dungeon, defending player loses 1 life for each card they own in exile with a hit counter on it. We don't do any dungeon stuff, but it is fun to have. Now, we need to figure out how to utilize this win effect. There's a couple cards that I love in the deck, such as Vorpal Sword. I've used it for a long time. I love it. I love the effect. It's not very strong, but, well, it's strong, but the fact that it costs so much mana is kind of, tedious. And we also have Unstoppable Slasher. Thankfully, it is an assassin. So they both do very similar things in the sense that they help you win. But Vorpal Sword is straight up just you lose the game if you get dealt combat damage with this. The fact that it also gives a creature death touch is nice. If it's a creature with death touch and a creature blocks it, you can also get the pings off the hit counters, which is very good. Unstoppable Slasher is amazing. Unstoppable Slasher for 2 colors and a black is a 2/3 with Death Touch and Zombie Assassin. Whenever Unstoppable Slasher deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up. When Unstoppable Slasher dies, if it has no counters on it, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner control with 2 stun counters on it. So it dies, you swing in, someone loses half their life. If it dies, it comes back, they can lose that other half. Super good combo. I got some additional fun cards to show you guys. I love Unblockable, and quite a few of these cards, as you can see, they all have Unblockable. This guy owns Unblockable, but he also has Transmute, which is amazing, so I can tutor for a different card. But I also needed a couple assassins, or I should say ninjas with ninjutsu, because I love their effects. The Fallen Shinobi, when he deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library until end of turn. You may play those cards without paying their mana costs. So a lot of what this deck is you get small guys who can't be blocked into the big ninjas. So you have a lot of these cheap ways of ramping your creatures, and it's very good. Plus, ninjas are very fun. How does this deck win? Well, we have a lot of the unblockable damage, which is great. We also have the ninjutsu creatures, which is amazing. Something else that we're going to work with here is, of course, the hit counters, but also just pieces that kind of mess up the tempo of the game. So we're going to have a little bit of mill, because in Dimir, you have a lot of discard effects and a lot of punishment effects. So mill is great. I also run a whole lot of interaction in the deck. A lot of counter spells and a lot of kill spells. We've already talked a little bit about how to win with the small creatures going into the big creatures, but I do want to show off the mana curve. This mana curve is very low. By utilizing the small unblockable creatures and then ramping into the big creatures, it's very consistent. A lot of the bigger creatures do have higher mana costs, but because of ninjutsu, you get them out earlier. So it's important to remember that, it's looking a little big, but you can get stuff out for cheap. The interaction helps a lot too to kind of lower that in the instants and sorceries. It kind of lowers that curve. Overall, it's a very fun deck. I've been playing it a whole lot recently, and it's definitely not like my highest winning deck by any means. But I probably have, 6, 7, 8 unblockable small creatures in there. So it's very easy just to get those out turn 1, turn 2. You have a couple ramp sources. Nothing crazy because you're not in green, of course. We have a couple ramp sources, get them out turn 2, turn 3. Maybe it's, Soul Ring turn 1. From there, you want to utilize, the unblockable effects. You want to get Etrata in your hand, on the field. Hopefully, you already have a ninja in the hand, so that when you're unblockable, you can kind of get this big thing out, so you have an early game presence. Plenty of interaction, like I was saying. So really, turn 1's more about that, maybe if you have a cheap ramp spell, maybe if you have unblockable. Turn 2 is really all about that. Just kind of sit there, draw that card, play that card out. Turn 3 is when you're going to start seeing some of your cheaper assassins come out and be big, presence. Turn 3, turn 4, you might start getting hit counters out too with the Etrata. Turn 5, that's when you should hopefully start getting some results with Etrata. If you have enough interaction, you can kill the big things to get those hit counters in. And, I usually don't win before like turn 10. It is a slower deck. Well, not slower, but that's a good deck. But it's good kind of just to keep the interaction in your hand, to build up your cards, make sure that you kind of play everything at the right time when the games kind of hit this lull. So you come in, you swing big, and you kill everyone. It's a great little deck, and it was super fun to play. Being my first video on the channel, I'm sure I'm still kind of, messing around with the format, and I'm sure people, you can definitely recommend a commander, and I'll play it, and it'll be fantastic. But for now, this is my Etrata deck, and I hope you enjoyed everything. Thank you.